Well, this is usually the Rick Dhaliwal spot on Sekeres and Price, Fridays, heading into the weekend. But poor Ricky's got the flu. Couldn't make Donnie and Dhali today, so in his stead, BC broadcast legend Don Taylor picking up for his teammate. How you doing?
It's impossible. I'm doing well. Impossible to replace Rick, but I'll do my best.
Although
he's going to be fine, by the way.
You tried on Donnie and Dhali today. There was a cutout of Rick in the chair that he would otherwise inhabit.
Yeah. And I think this point has been made a lot on today's show. It was a hell of a lot quieter today. Not as much fun, but a hell of a lot quieter.
If you want to carry the mantle for him here on this show, just remember to pronounce it Arturs Silvos. If you do that, then it'll just be like every other Friday in the last year.
And really loud and dramatic throat clearing before answers. That's the other trademark.
I've heard it all. Does anybody pronounce his name correctly, by the way? I think that's one that nobody's really gotten right.
Fair enough.
It is spelt on the back. Generally properly, although the Canucks did not do any of us any favors when they misspelled it once on the back of his jersey, if you remember.
Well, that happened to Gretzky with the Rangers one time.
That's right.
Where I think they got the Z and the K mixed up.
Less recognizable. That was a bit of a word soup.
Matt loves this, by the way, when I go off and, on different tangents. I know he loves that.
Jersey tangents especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Love it. No, it's good content.
Good.
I love
He
your
doesn't understand jerseys, Don. He doesn't like the jersey talk. He doesn't get the fascination. Nothing.
I say it with love, Matt.
I am in absolute awe of how Don can remember the number on every Canucks jersey for the entire half century of the franchise's
not even just that, NLL or WLA too. You ask him a Coquitlam Adenac from 1978, he'll get that too.
So,
hey, listen, you say that, and earlier this week I said Yuri Bubla wore number 28, and he in fact wore number 29. So far from perfect, guys.
Inexcusable.
You're allowed a mistake every now and then.
That's right. There you go.
I'm not sure you've seen, but Watt and Patterson up at Rinkwide are doing poll questions on best Canucks to wear whatever number.
Oh,
so
that's
they've done numbers 1, 2. I believe they're up to number 3. So give me number 4. Best Canuck to wear number 4.
Best Canuck to wear number 4. Well, there's Mike Walton. There's Ab DeMarco. As you know, I go way back. What would you say, Matt? Ab DeMarco, Mike Walton.
Well, Walton could be Walton in the corner. You went in the corner with Walton. You really paid the price.
Yeah,
I'm going to go Gerald Diddick.
Gerald Diddick, yes, 1994, of course.
Boy,
yeah,
there's a guy if you go in the corner with Diddick.
Yeah, trouble. Yeah,
defensively.
Yep, and a really nice,
a little less impressive.
But
you don't want to go in the corner. That's
okay. Number 5,
underrated number under Dana Merzen. Come on, right there.
Yeah.
And people would disagree with me on Dana Merzen, but he wore an A on that jersey for a reason. He was respected by his teammates. He was respected by Pat Quinn. And yes, every once in a while he'd get beaten wide by somebody with speed, but he did a whole lot in front of the net back in the days when you could take guys out in front of the net. But it's Dana Merzen for me. Maybe honorable mention to Garth Butcher.
Oh, very good.
And honestly,
Tucker Pullman now.
Butcher, Diddick, Merzen, birds of a feather, really.
There is
very similar games, if I recall correctly.
There's a trend. Pat Quinn loved big tough teams.
Yep.
It was a different era, right? It was a different era, and he loved that sort of hockey. It worked. Then they got.
Well, let's segue out of pylon defenseman to what we're seeing today in the playoffs. And, again, it would be the worst nightmare for a lot of the defensemen we just mentioned. What do you make of the brand of this year's playoffs? Because in some ways harkens back to the 80s, but in some ways, oh my goodness, it's just so much better than that because, way more players at speed, way more players with that top-end skill. It's been something to watch, hasn't it?
Well, it has, and I think this sums it up the best, for me anyway, is that you've got a team with a whole lot of speed in the Edmonton Oilers that, to me, when I watched the first 2 games, they're a fast team. They're playing a faster team in the Colorado Avalanche. There's just so much speed out there. And sometimes I'll watch a game with the volume down, and for whatever reason, I focus more on the speed when that happens. It's just amazing. And yeah, I love the hockey of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and reminiscing about that on those big, thick Pat Quinn teams of days gone by. Not that that was all they were about. But this hockey right now, guys, is just so tremendous. The physicality isn't there like it used to be, but I know the rules have changed, and, no red line, all of that. But it's just so great to watch game in, game out. I don't remember it being that good way back when.
Well, Don, we were talking that we all saw the speed and skill revolution happening several years back, that, every young player who came in the league could really skate. Even the third-pair defenseman could really handle the puck. I think we're seeing the manifestation of that. Huh? I think the league has now turned into a skill and speed league, and we've kicked it around a little bit too. Is sandpaper still as valuable in the playoffs? Is that size and toughness still going to be as valuable in the playoffs going forward?
How many shifts does Ryan Reeves get? Like right now? No, it's not as valuable as it used to be. No chance, because a lot of the guys with or sandpaper rather, grit and all of that can't keep up. Obviously, there's the odd player out there like a JT Miller here in Vancouver, not the fastest guy in the world, who's got that sandpaper to his game, but he's able to keep up. So it's not as valuable as it used to be. No way. And certainly dropping the gloves has gone the way of the Dover as well.
And this is where we normally talk, well, yeah, you can have that sandpaper. It's great, but you have to be wrapped up in a skill package. Are you surprised that a guy and this is not to say he was the reason for the Flames' demise, but Matthew Tkachuk, I would have thought would have been the perfect quintessential playoff performer in today's National Hockey League. And he wasn't that great in the playoffs.
Well, I don't know. He got the hat trick in the first game against Edmonton, which, much like the first game against the Colorado series versus Edmonton, you kind of throw away because it was just so strange and there was no defense and there were a million goals. But after that, honest to gosh, guy, I forgot that he was playing in that series, in that Battle of Alberta. I didn't notice him at all. And Blake, you're right. You think you look at his game, and maybe this is the old school in me, and maybe even yourself, that you just think you look at his game. There's grit, there's sandpaper there's offensive ability. He's perfect for the playoffs, but that certainly wasn't the case. They had a great year, but I just didn't notice him in the end there. And other than the odd drib and drab, the same might be said of Johnny Gaudreau minus the grit.
In fairness, who didn't score a hat trick in that first game?
That's true. That's true. Yes.
And Blake, did you notice? I sometimes listen with the volume off. You know why? Because he's doing his own play-by-play on the couch.
From the living room. Yes.
Right, Donnie?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Please tell me you're doing your own play-by-play on the couch to the kids and that they're enraptured with Dad.
Well, listen, people might remember this, but I had my foray into NHL play-by-play. So no, I don't do. With that in mind, it didn't go well. So no, I don't do play-by-play.
You don't play Rock the Rink right next to
speed.
it? You can play Rock the Rink on video games right next to it, so you can hear the play-by-play?
I thought I was the king of obscure references, but that takes the cake right there. It was an old EA sports game for people who don't know that I worked on.
Yeah,
Rock the Rink.
I certainly hope there's a little bit of Danny Gallivan or Bob Cole or one of the greats from yesteryear that comes out as you're watching that game.
Always. Come on. Gathering speed, paraphernalia, of course. Absolutely.
Now, lastly, answer me our Bodog poll question today. We're asking which team of the Canucks most likely to trade with this summer?
Ooh.
Rangers, Devils, Penguins, or go off the board?
Well, do you just say Penguins because of the Rutherford-Alvin connection? And I'm not sure how well they got along with Brian Burke, or how well they do get along with Burke and Hextall, but that would be the obvious answer. But then you got the Hughes connection with the Devils, and both teams that could use some help one way or the other. But I would say Penguins just because of that connection.
Yeah, I've got my vote. Donnie, sorry about your golf game today, but thank you for filling in for Ricky. You did a splendid job in his stead. And I hope you guys weren't too tough on his absence today, because I was texting with him last night, and he was torn up about the decision he faced this morning about maybe having to go in or call it a day.
No, well, he'll tough it out on Monday one way or the other. And let me just say this. Rick's told me that you've been ripping into me for turning down all your golf invitations. I will make up for that this summer. Okay?
Please do. Please do. We would like you to come out and we'd like to play with you because, you can only offer so many times, Don, at some point.
I know I'm blacklisted and all that, but
no, you're not blacklisted. You're not blacklisted. You're just 0 for 12.
You can have the yacht
we're going to trot you back
down the Indian Arm and pick you up from the shores of Dollarton Highway. It's easy.
I'll just take the helicopter over. Don't worry about it.
Beautiful. Yes. There you go. Gas it on up. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Okay, thanks, guys.